Hello my people, welcome to my channel KD Gist and Boss Corner, where we give you latest updates on politics, sports, entertainment, football, and what more. It's your boy KD here, Gist Papa, reaching you out live from this channel. Okay, it's going to be a long one, like a long one. I would like you guys to give me your updates, your reactions on what you think about the interview that Sheung had at Senate Television with a senator representing Kogi Central, Senator Natasha Uduaha, who was suspended. I think this woman is a gem, a real gem in this country, Nigeria, and she's very smart. But for you to find out how smart this woman is, or how intelligent she is, and what she's proven to be, you need to watch this video to the end to understand this interaction between Sheung Okibaloye of Channels Television and Senator Natasha Uduaha. Once you're done watching, I would like you to comment on the comment section based on your reaction and your understanding or how you think this woman is going to go places. And if we can have 10, 20 or 30 of this kind of women in the Senate House, or even representing Nigeria at political level, I'm sure things will not be the same way it is as it is in Nigeria. We don't have to be docile anymore. We have to be active. Please watch this to the end. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and also share, like, and subscribe so that next time when I post my video, you will be notified and we can talk more. See you guys next time when I post my video. Signing out, KD Papa.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has rejected a petition to recall the senator representing Kogi Central in the National Assembly, Senator Natasha Uduagan, and that he has not met the requirement as provided in the Constitution. In a statement today, the Electoral Commission says the petition to recall Senator Natasha did not meet constitutional requirements, and according to INEC, quote, the petition for the recall of the senator representing the Kogi Central Sanitary District has not met the requirement of the Section 69 sub A of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended and cited Section 69A of the Constitution, which stipulates that a petition to recall a senator needs the signatures of more than one half of the registered voters in the lawmaker's constituency. It went further to say that the total number of registered voters in the Kogi Central Sanitary District is put at 474,554. More than one half of this figure will be 50% plus 1 is 237,277 plus 1, which is at least 237,278 voters. The statement issued by INEC's National Commissioner and Chairman of Information and Voter Education Committee, Mr. Sam Ulumekum, read also in part that the 902 polling units in the 57 registration areas and 5 local government areas that make up the senatorial district, according to the commission, ascertained 208,132 signatures, thumbprints from the submission made by the petitioners. So 208,000 as again 237 plus numbers that is required. That is a bone of contention. But according to INEC, all that has failed. Now, what does the Constitution say? We've tried to break it down for you right here on Channels Television, and we've broken it down into 3 stages. The first one is for you to be able to collate the signatures as provided by Section 69, subsection A, which says that it has to be about one half of it. Now, the second layer is whether or not those submissions and those petitions and the signatures meet the requirement as stipulated in the guidelines of INEC, which says that those signatures have to be confirmed. If that also meets up with the standard and INEC confirms it, then the third layer is a referendum. The referendum then ascertains when it is confirmed, the senator or the lawmaker in the House of Representatives stands recalled. Tonight I have on the program Senator Natasha Uduagan. She's live for us here in the studio. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Sean, and good evening, Nigerians.
Yeah. Did you watch that interview with Ken Okolugbo?
Not really. I try to avoid negative news.
We'll get to that because he raised some substantial issues. He was speaking on behalf of Senator Godswill Akpabio, and I was looking back into my questions now and some of the issues that he has raised. But, well, how's the journey been? Tumultuous, isn't it? I saw you. The idea of the helicopter, where did that idea come from anyways?
Sean, first let me start from the very beginning. Let me start by appreciating God for his grace, my husband for his love and support, my children for their sacrifice, my team for their resilience, the team, especially Auntie Obi, Asikulisi, the SAN Femi Falana, Kadraya Ahmed, and many others. And also the good people of Nigeria, especially my constituents. I just thank God for the love I've received so far, support, the prayers. I think have kept me strong. And now back to the helicopter. That was my husband's idea. It was a last-minute thing. We wanted to celebrate Easter Salah with my constituents, which I always do. Even before I became a senator, you know, I usually send down some materials and some grains for them to share. And the last few days of Salah, I do spend with them. But in the wake of events, I couldn't go earlier. But I said, you know what, this very last day of the holiday, I should be with them. And then we sent out notifications. And just as the notifications went out, we read the press release from the state government, Governor Dudu, on behalf through the Commissioner of Information, Kingsley Fowler, mentioning that there was a ban on gatherings, rallies, whether social, religious, or political, convoys getting into the state, ban on fishing activities and all sort of water activities. And we just sat there looking at us like, I knew I was a target. Come on. Relatively, Kogi State has been quite peaceful, so there is no security concerns. And then we're actually wondering where that came from, but I knew I was a target.
Did you hear about the fishing issues and what was happening in Kogi West? Were you aware?
What was the fishing issues?
The issue, the arrest that happened, and according to the state government, that some people were attacked and there were issues relating to insecurity in that part.
If it happened in the last 1 month, then pardon me, like I said, I tried to stay away from a lot of negative news. I cared a lot about my mental health, and I needed to channel a lot of energy to focus on the issues that concerned myself and my constituents at that time. I'm sorry if it sounds a bit selfish, but I was just away from a whole lot. So back to this, if that happened, I'm so sorry. I think now that I've gotten a bit more breather, I will look at and see how I can intervene and lend my voice to curbing the vices. But now back on that, I had seen the prohibition of fishing activities and water activities, and the ban of convoys into, and also a list of checkpoints that were suddenly propped up, you know, barring entrance into my senatorial district, that is Ibilo to Kogi, Auchi into Okene, Abuja, Lokoja, Okene Road, Akure, Ikare, axis into, like all the roads were barricaded. And I knew that, okay, there was going to be trouble. So my husband was like, you know what, we can actually get a helicopter to land us right into our compound, because we do own the land opposite our village home, and that's how we got in. And I think with that move, we broke no law, and the people gathered right in my compound. The road you see us walking through, I constructed that road, so that's not the government road or facility, so I broke no law. I'm a good citizen of Nigeria, a law-abiding one at that. I'm sure you can attest to me.
So now, the big question here is, part of the ban, or part of the governor's order is there should not be any kind of gathering, public gathering. But the government has said that is a public gathering. Any gathering that's more than 2, 3, 4, 5 people, that doesn't look like a Salah celebration of any sort.
Well, that's a private gathering. It depends on the popularity of the individual. That's how my people gather for me every time I'm home. So that's it. I don't know what his definition of public gathering is, but to me, that's not a public space. That's not a community hall. That's my compound. The whole area you see there, it's owned by me. And that's where people gathered. And that's what I usually have.
You're not worried about the threats that the government says could happen, the threat of the insecurity threat. Are you not bothered about that?
My people are very peaceful, and I've always preached peace. Let me say this. Everyone knows that the Bira person, we are very assertive. We're so assertive that it might come up as if we are stubborn, but we aren't. We do not like being cheated. And I tell you, it took a whole lot for me to speak calm to my people in the past 1 month so that they will not react to my suspension or to the harassment claim, because they were very upset when I came up on Arise Then to narrate the challenges I had to face in the Senate the past 1 year. So that ordinarily created a lot of anger in the minds of an average Ibera person. And if you know us, we are typically the fire. If we are to align us to an element, I would say we are the firebrand. We just boom up. So I had to preach calm to them. I've told them to be law-abiding citizens, not to take law into their hands. And believe me, if you know the history of my people, you actually appreciate the fact that they have remained peaceful. And what we saw there, like I said, there was a lot of dancing, there was celebration, we ate, and we danced, and we chatted to ourselves. And the next day, which was yesterday, I had an empowerment program, which we did some trainings for citizens, for indigents in welding and carpentry. And then I also flagged off the groundbreaking ceremony of the maternity and child care center, which I was constructing. So it was pretty much peaceful. There was no violence, there was no fighting, no shouting, nothing. So,
except that it became political when you started speaking.
I'm a politician. No, let me rephrase. I'm a political reformer. I like to be called a political reformer. And I'm a serving senator. The fact that I'm suspended illegally does not remove my legitimacy as a senator. I remain a senator. And at every gathering, I owe my people a duty to educate them on politics and their expectations with regards to the situations we face, which was the recall. Mind you, ever since should I say crisis or challenges started, I've not had a chance to explain to them. I wanted to speak to them through the local radio, but then I thought, you know what, let me keep that, meet with them and explain to them face to face. I owe it to my people. That is what a responsible leader will do. They had a lot of questions. They wanted to know, they wanted to hear from me what exactly was I going through, how serious was that, what are they supposed to do? They knew about the fake recall. They all heard about it, and they were really angered. So I had to educate them on that. So that was...
so the point I'm the question I'm trying to ask you is, at what point do you think you may have crossed the line? Because what the government says you should not do is political gathering. At the moment when you started addressing the crowd and you were talking politics, don't you think, you're a lawyer, don't you think you've crossed the line?
No, like I said, I did not cross any line. Politics is a way of life. You are not a politician, but we are discussing politics here. Does it mean you have also crossed the line virtually, since we are discussing what happened in Kogi State? No. As a politician, even if I wasn't a politician, the atmosphere was tensed because of the political situations around. And it was like, believe me, even if it wasn't in my home, at every gathering, marketplaces, religious homes, schools, that discussion, Natasha's recall, Senator Natasha's suspension, was a burning topic in every home. So, I mean, there was no law broken, and I don't think the state governor has the right to dictate what I speak and how I communicate to my people and determine the nature of our conversations.
For a moment,
that's wrong.
I'm not sure you have any grievance or any issues with Governor Ododo. I think both of you are cool, isn't it?
Well, to a large extent, I thought we were cool until he took heed of ex-governor Yahaya Bello's request, which was to align with my recall. I was actually surprised at that. And if you watched my speech at my hometown, I did mention that the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, first called on Governor Ododo to commence my recall, but he turned that down. And later on, 2 days after, on the 14th day of March, 2025 this year, Godswill Akpabio called on Yahaya Bello to commence my recall. And what did Yahaya Bello do? He tasked Ododo, and Ododo could not say no. So he went on. The petitions, the primary petitioners, the 14 of them that submitted the first cover letter, were all signed by special advisors to Ododo himself.
So you
they were all APCs.
You think you're inferring that the governor may have had a hand in your recall?
He does has a hand. He gave approval. They're all his staff. All of them. Governor Ododo is the APC leader in the state. And for about 4 of the signatures there, the primary signatures supporting the first petition, the letter, the cover letter, were all his staff.
Let me
They're
ask
all
you,
his aides.
You said the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, allegedly, according to you, called Governor Ododo, called Yahaya Bello, but I mean, you were not there when these calls came. And those who say it is spurious as far as if you cannot have or lay evidence on the call log, on the moment they call, and you were not in the room when the call was being placed.
You know, there's nothing that happens around the Senate that one does not get to know, either immediately or the day after,
even
or
if
shortly
they lie
after.
to you.
No, you have a way of verifying. I don't deal with just rumors. I make sure I verify. And I do have my primary sources. And the moment I got to know about it, it was actually about 10 p.m. So when Senator Asukwo drove him from Hilton Hotel to Godswill Akpabio's residence. And that's where the meeting held. And immediately after that, I called on the press. I'm not sure if I called you, but I know I spoke to the correspondent from about 3 newspapers, Guardian, Punch, and others. And I told them, even Premium Times, I think, and I was like, look, this is it. There's a plan to recall me. Why don't you put it out there? And they asked, where is the evidence? Of course, I didn't have any evidence, but it did happen. So shortly after, when the process started, they called on me. I said, oh, Senator Natasha, you actually told us. I was like, I did tell you. I wanted you to blow it up, because one thing about Nigeria is sometimes when you put out information and preempt them, they get to pull back. But again, the danger there is they could sue the media houses, like it will almost amount to hearsay or rumor that they went ahead to publish. So I do respect the publishing homes for not going out with that story, because it could have been dangerous, you know, and counterproductive to their image. But I tell you, everything I speak about, I'm a lawyer, I'm a senator, and I understand how Nigeria works. And for me, the most important thing is this recall process has been stalled. And I give kudos and credit to INEC, even though I believe they should have thrown it away from the first on the first go. I think it was void ab initio, because listen to what the gentleman said, that there is no law in the Electoral Act that says that a petition should be discarded just because there is no address. But again, what if the address is false? Because the address provided there is number 4, Oborokeba, Oboroke, Kogi State. I bet you there's no address like that. Oboroke is just 5 minutes away from me, and I did send people there. There is no address. Most of the streets in my hometown there are not labeled. So the question to add to INEC is, what if the address is fake? And again, the cover letter of the petition was Kogi Central Political Frontier. And we ran a check with CAC, and that does not exist again. So the question to INEC is, can a non-registered body sponsor a petition against a senator? I think these are loopholes that INEC needs to look into and probably strengthen the laws in that, because I think it should have been discarded on the first go. But again, what I'm going to say is, even though INEC did count 208 signatures, I bet you if they had gone into the second stage, or is it the third stage?
The verification stage.
The verification stage, they would have struggled to even have 500 people come out to attest to signing that.
Let me quickly take you up on the fact that, are you worried if those who are behind the petition go again and restart the process of the recall?
I'm not worried, Sean. I'm not worried, because I trust my people, and my people connect with me. They resonate with the idea that I project, and they're actually very happy with the manner in which I have represented them. They are very happy with me.
You mentioned,
my election was one that was apolitical. it wasn't just PDP that voted me. It was a number of even the APC card-carrying members and other parties that voted for me.
So you said something in your tweet when you said that Natasha Akpoti to 2027 and beyond. It does look like you are very confident. And one of your associates said, if Yaya Bello and Ododo are on the same ticket, Natasha Akpoti will beat them.
Yes, I will.
Is that the kind of confidence that you have?
Yes. I mean...
You're that popular?
Very popular, very popular. And I think one thing that works for me is I live my life every day as a senator, educating people and creating awareness in the minds of people who have lost hope in politics. So I'm beginning to have a new kind of followership that believes that leadership, the standard of leadership can actually increase, and their participation could help shape in Nigeria's political space. So whatever it is that I decide to, by the way, that poster that I did share was designed by my media team. And I think it's kind of futuristic, but also ambitious and daring. So honestly daring.
So it means you are going back to the Senate even after now?
If I decide to, God sparing our lives, it depends. I have to speak to my husband first.
That you still want to be you still have the ambition of wanting to become governor.
You know,
which of them do you have now?
For me, I do believe in the power of now. I celebrate the moment, and I just have tomorrow. I live tomorrow in trust. I might not be alive by 2027, even though I pray to have a long, fulfilled life. But let's complete this term. 2027 will be determined based on the consultations I will have first with my husband, my children, my family, associates, and of course my community. If they tell me, Natasha, go ahead, I will go ahead. If they tell me, raise the bar, expand your political space, I will do so. But it all depends.
Quickly, we're due for a break, and I'd like to ask you, and I say it again, you are a lawyer, so you know the implication of what is being said, especially when you lay allegations, heavy ones are that. On the podium, you said that there were plans to kill you, and that the plan was not to kill you in Abuja, but to kill you right there in Kogi State. I'm very certain that you know the magnitude of that allegation, and you know what could become of that if it's not ironclad in evidence.
Shun, I'm glad you did affirm that I'm a lawyer. And even if I'm not a lawyer, I'm a sane individual. And I do stand by what I said. It was part of the meeting, the discussions Akpabio had with Yaya Bello that night to eliminate me. And
to what extent? For what purpose?
Let's say this. Let's ask the Senate President, why in the first instance did he withdraw my security, if not to make me vulnerable to attacks? Mind you, of all the senators there, well, let's just say, we're about 109 senators, but we all have different stories. I have been a high-profile, vulnerable individual because of the nature of politics I've experienced in the year 2018, very violent and dangerous. And I've always had my security, okay? So stripping me of my security simply because I'm suspended illegally, actually, he just positioned me before attacks, and I knew immediately what that meant. Is that the
reason why you think they want to eliminate you?
That's not it. That's not it. Mind you, I said that there was a conversation. So that happened. I was suspended on the 6th day of March, right? And shortly a week after, which was the 14th, a week and a few days after when he met with him, he then emphasized that I should be killed, but I should be killed in Kogi. And that was one of the reasons why I did not go home on time. I delayed going home because I needed to put some measures on ground. I did write a letter to the Inspector General of Police, and I sent a copy to his WhatsApp. I forwarded the copy to his WhatsApp. He's not responded to that yet. But again, I've spoken on the phone to a number of persons in the security as well. I did notify them. And you see, this is Nigeria. We've had a number of political murders that usually are swept under the carpet, no investigation done. What is important to me is to stay alive, because dead men tell no tales. And God forbid, if I had not come out, and if I don't speak about this, and something happens, and they succeed in their plan, who is going to get justice for me?
How can you make such an allegations of a meeting where you were not present?
I heard it's just like, okay, how again? Like, I tell you, there were actually three conversations that happened that day. I spoke only about two. The third one was quite minute, which is that they should prepare to field in someone who will, just in case I want to contest in 2027, some strong person who will clinch the ticket from me during the primaries. That's the third part of it. The first was my recall. The second was to eliminate me. The third was to put in someone who would take the ticket from me in 2027 if I want to contest. So if you are doubting the veracity of the killing, yes, then what about the recall that we just experienced? Are you getting my point?
Are you able to prove this? That's the point. I mean, anyone can make an allegation, but the issue is, are you able to prove it when it comes to it?
Let us get to that bridge. I'm hearing that the Senate President wants to sue me for that. I will tell him to go ahead. We'll meet and we'll cross that bridge.
All right, let's take a breather, everyone. Senator Natasha is still with me, and we might be talking about our suspension. What is the implication of this? Is Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan really embarrassing Nigeria with all what is happening? We'll be getting reactions after this break, everyone. Don't miss it. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has been speaking with us after our recall failed. You've been laying a lot of allegations against Senator Godswill Akpabio, and one of those, things that you've said is that he withdrew your security. But he's not the IG. He's not the one in charge of police. He's not the one in charge of security.
It was one of the conditions of my attached to my recall. You know, there are about 6 of them. The first is I should be suspended for 6 months. Second is the window of pardon if I tender a written apology. The third, I think, was I shouldn't be available, I shouldn't be seen near the vicinity of the National Assembly. Then fourth is my staff should, their salaries and allowances should not be paid. Then my salary should not, and then last is also my security should be recalled. And the other is I should cease to present myself as a senator nationally and internationally. So yeah, he did mention that, and actually my security was recalled. The next day, 2 days after, my security was recalled.
So you think he's behind, even though it doesn't look like he's the one who apportioned security of
Well, whatever is being determined on the floor of the chambers is just like a law. It's binding. So he probably instructed the clerk of the National Assembly to communicate with the Inspector General of Police office, and they did recall my security 2 days after my suspension.
I'd like to know, why did you raise the issue of sexual didn't you raise the issue of sexual harassment on the floor?
How do you mean? I should have just mentioned it on the floor?
I'm asking because, you know, the issue of your seat was the contention when that altercation happened. But when you went on television, you raised the issue of sexual harassment. So I'm just curious, though, why didn't you raise it on the floor?
Okay, Sharon, you know, I had told you I didn't want to go in details into the sexual harassment part because, you know, there's been a whole lot of conversation, but I will touch a bit of it. The issue of my seat, me refusing to move to the seat, was born because I perceived that as a result of the malice I have suffered from the Senate President, one of many that I've suffered over the past 1 year. And I knew that it was coming from a point of anger and hate from the Senate President. And he decided to move me from my seat in order to kill my visibility. He moved me to a far corner near where the chamber staff sat. And that place, the cameras hardly get there. So I knew that it was a tactic that he was deploying to kill my visibility in chambers. And I know that he did not follow the normal process because I ought to have been notified by the clerk of the National Assembly. Now, before where I sat where I used to be my seat in these new chambers, we were all notified 4 days before then. And I do have the notification where it's like a little chat and every senator's name is written in their boxes. So you get to see your allocated seat. And then senators are given a chance to argue and say, you know what, I don't want to sit here, move me to this place. They could have one reason or the other, it could, you know, and they were given a chance to argue. I wasn't even given a chance. I wasn't even notified.
Thereabout that seats were changed.
Well,
so you were not the only one.
If there are 10 of us that our seats were changed, I was the one that was moved to the worst part, while others were moved to my own seat, which was they progressed while I regressed in position. Do you understand? So I believe that I was the main target, while others were just made to seem as if we were filling in seats. Now, the excuse he gave, or they were saying, was that because Senator Ned Nwoko and someone else, they camped. Senator Ned Nwoko sat right in the very front. If they are moving me to Senator Ned Nwoko's seat, that's fine. I mean, if they're saying they want to fill in the vacant seat, so move me right up front. I don't mind there. But why do you have, of everybody, why are you moving me there? And let me say this. You know, I did mention that there is nothing that happens or is being spoken of, even in whispers, that you don't get to know. I already heard 2 days before that the Senate president complained to some senators that each time he walks through, because I was sitting by the aisle, the first seat at the top aisle near the door, that each time he walks through and he passes that, my presence angers him. He has complained about that. He had even told some people that I gave him the bad eye each time he walked past, and sometimes I don't even stand to honor him.
Why don't you
and let me say this. Since I resumed as a senator, I always observed and respected the protocol according to the Senate rules, and I always stood. And you will have see lots of pictures I stood. The only 2 times I refused to stand were the 5th and the 6th of March, which was when I already moved to my new seat. These were the only 2 times, and that was out of protest. I said, you know what? We already had the heated conversation and the problem, and I did not stand to usher him in. I didn't join the procession in ushering him in on the 5th and the 6th after I have moved to that seat. But while I was sitting there, I always stood to observe the procession. So, but basically, what some people thought that, oh, she was just rude. She didn't want to, she broke the Senate rule. She should have just moved to the seat according to that. But I knew that that was an attack, a further attack of many others that I have faced in a continuous manner. And that was why I refused to move, because I knew it was born out of malice. I perceived the Senate president was hiding under the Senate rules to exercise his vendetta on me.
But you have a family relationship. Did you ever approach him to say you didn't like what was going on?
Earlier point, yes, I did. That was last year. That was at the earlier part of, you know, I said I didn't want to go specifically into that. But when the whole relationship started, when I started rejecting the advances, and I experienced the hostility, you know, I did mention a number of times to my husband, who would then speak to him. And there was a time, we were also in London last year, January 12th. We visited him, his wife was there, and my husband was like, oh, why is it that you're a bit unfriendly to her and that she's complained? And then he right there, he was like, oh, why are you always reporting me to your husband? Why don't you tell me directly? And then when we resumed chambers, and the next time I saw him, you know, maybe not allowing my emotions or something, and I was like, oh, dear SP, I've tried to present this a number of times. Why don't you allow me? He goes, Natasha, so you now see that no matter how many times you report to your husband, you have to meet with me. This is my space. Talk to me, blah, 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 make me happy and all of that. So I don't want to go into this. But the point is, I have a number of times met with people, even some senators.
Did you regret telling your husband about the sexual harassment when it started?
No, I didn't regret not telling him. The first thing is, a lot of women find it very difficult to speak about sexual harassment. Even women who are raped, many of them don't speak about it, and that's the worst part of it. Because there's a burden of shame that comes with speaking of sexual harassment, especially in this part of the world, whereby it's a taboo for women to speak about any violation of her body or interests, you understand? As a society, we have not developed to a point whereby certain conversations are allowed. And I think maybe, probably, it doesn't mean I don't trust my husband, but I think I was looking at preserving the friendship between himself and the Senate president. I didn't want
family
to
relationship is totally collapsed right now.
Well, I think as for me, I don't think I would want to maintain any friendship with a person who does not respect boundaries, and I don't think we would have.
They're claiming that there are no evidence, no shred of evidence that you can prove that Akpabio harassed you sexually.
Is this the court?
No, not a court.
Exactly.
So
no, let's leave that part.
And I've come back to the fact that you're a lawyer.
Yes, let's leave that part. At the right time, I will prevent, at the right time and in the right space, I will present the evidence that I have. But let me say this. While I was illegally suspended, I was not given a chance for the matter to be investigated. And then the committee that was set up, which was headed by Senator Neda Emaswen, they did not invite me. The first time the invitation was sent out, which was on the 5th, that was the very day I submitted the petition. There was a court order that the committee should not sit for 72 hours, but explained to the court the reason why I should face that committee. They went ahead, had the session, had the meeting, came up with the suspension, and there were also complaints by some senators that their signatures were, it was the attendance sheet that was used to endorse the report and not the senators themselves, which also amounts to the report being fraudulently conducted, which also again means my suspension is void ab initio as well. So a whole lot of irregularities surround my suspension. And then again, when I asked why was I suspended, they said I was not suspended for the sexual harassment. I was Petition. I was suspended for gross misconduct. And then you ask, what exactly was my gross misconduct? What did I do that amount? They say it's because I violated the Senate rules. But are they not in violation of the Senate rules? The Nigerian Constitution does not allow an elected officer to be suspended. But then the Senate says they are bound by their own Senate rules. The Senate rules says that a senator should be suspended for a maximum of just 14 days. Where did they get the 6 months?
I have just about 60 seconds. I'd like you to answer like 2 questions quickly for me. And the one is about the interparliamentary meetings that you went, and the Senate president was also there. And the fact that you were also removed as the chair of the Senate Committee on local content. These were issues that some people thought these were rosy. You were there with Senate President, but after you were removed as the chair of the local content, that was where you got upset because you were protesting your removal.
Well, let me say this. I believe that removing me as one of the senators representing, participating in the IPU, and denying me participation in some United Nations activities and many other, not allowing me to speak on the floor of the Senate, participating in debates. I was silenced pretty much for 7 months from July last year.
Even though you were judged as one of the best senators.
Yeah,
and you have a long list of...
most of my activities were done because I found a way of lobbying around my colleagues, lobbying around ministers and agencies, and I was able to attract this project. I was not given on any gold platter in the chambers. So removing me as a chairperson committee on local content and all of these other things were just, like I said, a lot of malice. It got to a point whereby he didn't want me to thrive. He was frustrating me and trying to break me down, so I would succumb and fall into his whims. But again, let me say this. The reason why I speak about the sexual harassment is because a lot of women do suffer. It's a very common societal vice that many people don't speak about it. And I hope to be a voice and give courage to many women, not only in schools, but in corporate arena, in political spaces, so that we would have, women in Nigeria will have safe spaces to be able to
thrive. Say you are embarrassing the nation.
I'm not embarrassing the nation. I'm just bringing awareness so that there can be better reforms and women like my daughters will feel safer.
Senator, we're going to go. If there's someone who can resolve this politically out of the court, who would that be?
I haven't thought about that, but if there is...
Would you like this to be resolved politically out of the court?
It depends.
This to be settled?
It all depends. Let me tell you, when I spoke up about sexual harassment, I was not seeking financial compensation. I just wanted to put out my story and have the Senate president leave me alone so I could walk.
Right.
That was all I wanted.
Senator, we are on the top of the hour, totally out of line. I have really gone, but thank you so much.
Thank
Senator
you so much.
Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan.
And I'm going to tell people, stand up to bullies. Find the courage to speak your truth.
Thank you so much indeed.
Thank
That's
you.
our show for tonight. And thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale. God bless Nigeria.